And that Washington is now 17th in the country for recycling, and that we've been in a steady decline since 2011. I know that there's something that needs to happen to change this. Only 58% of jurisdictions provide recycling access, curbside recycling access, and there are 11 counties in our state that have no curbside recycling. Also, recycling and packaging continues to evolve and continues to be more confusing for folks. We lack a statewide list so that everyone knows what goes in the bin, and there's a patchwork system where if you're in Olympia, you might not accept glass, but if you're in Seattle, you might accept glass. It's very confusing. And there's a lack of accountability for responsible recycling. Producers of packaging have no incentive to change that packaging, and there is a lack of confidence from our constituents and consumers that that material is actually being used to be recycled into new products. The solution before you is to create an extended producer responsibility program in the state of Washington. This is where brands would come together to fund recycling systems in the state of Washington.
Chair Dolio, members of the committee, my name is Carrie Sessions. I serve Governor Inslee's Senior Policy Advisor on Environment and Water. Thank you for the opportunity. Governor Inslee is in strong support of this bill. To us, it's fundamentally about three things. First, it's about reducing greenhouse gas emissions. Under our current recycling system, more than half of all paper and packaging in Washington is going to landfills. Landfills are a significant source of methane emissions in our state, and reducing emissions from landfills is an important piece to meeting our statewide climate goals. By increasing the amount of packaging and paper that will be recycled and thereby diverting it from landfills, this bill will reduce emissions. Second, it's about reducing plastic pollution in our environment and in our bodies. In recent years, microplastics have been found in the fish and shellfish that we eat and in human bodies, including in our lungs, breast milk, and bloodstream. While studies have identified several sources for these microplastics, one thing is clear. They are ubiquitous and concerning to our health. We need to act to reduce our plastics and plastic pollution. By making producers of plastic packaging responsible for the end of life of these materials, this will incentivize them to reduce their plastic packaging and decrease pollution. Lastly, it's about equity. Under our current system, roughly 350,000 households lack access to curbside recycling, and 11 counties don't offer it at all. This bill would expand access so that all Washingtonians could have this service. And moreover, it will shift the cost of service away from residents and onto producers. And these changes will make recycling a convenient, easy, and affordable option for all residents.
Good afternoon, Chair Dolio, Vice Chair Mena, Ranking Member Dye, and members of the committee. Jay Belaspis testifying today on behalf of Sunshine Disposal and Recycling and Basin Disposal, two Eastern Washington multi-generational family-owned solid waste and recycling companies in Eastern Washington, testifying opposed to House Bill 2049. We agree with Representative Berry's goal to increase curbside recycling and improve environmental outcomes. However, we do not agree with the approach contemplated in HB 2049. We also believe that producers will simply embed the costs of the Extended Producer Responsibility Program into the price of products and pass those on to the consumer. Recycling is not and never will be free. While we appreciate the ongoing dialogue that we have had with Representative Berry and the proponents of this bill, we are still not there yet. Instead, we believe we should conduct a full needs assessment and enact other policies to increase recycled content before moving forward with the Producer Responsibility Organization contemplated in this bill. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Thank you for the opportunity to testify. My name is Vicki Christofferson. I'm here today on behalf of the Washington Refuse and Recycling Association. Unfortunately, at this time, opposed to House Bill 2049. Again, we agree with and really appreciate the work that Representative Berry has done and the collaboration that we've had over the course of the last year, but we're just not there yet on the extended producer responsibility portions of this bill. Unfortunately, the bill designs a system before doing the needs assessment to determine what it is we need a system to do. And we think that the needs assessment is a critical component that must come first. And we cannot ignore, this is not going to be borne by producers. As stated in testimony previously, and probably again, we will hear, producers will embed the cost in the cost of the product to build an extended producer responsibility system. It is the consumers that will bear the cost. And it's important that we really build on our successes. 49.1% recycling rate is not where we want to be. You're right, we want to go higher. But New York, for example, is at 18%. Colorado at 16%. and we are still far ahead of the national average of 34. We need to build on the successes we've had and try to continue to improve on our system. And we look forward to the opportunity to do that. Thank you.
My name is Marlene Feist, and I am the Public Works Director for the City of Spokane, speaking in support of House Bill 2049. The city is committed to zero waste, of which recycling is a major component, but we, along with other municipalities, cannot travel this path alone. Steps must be taken upstream to reduce the amount of material being generated and require products at the manufacturing level to be truly recyclable. According to EPA, 82 million tons of container and packaging waste was generated in the United States in 2018, and only about half of that was recycled. Reducing packaging waste also reduces emissions on a variety of fronts: manufacturing, transportation, and disposal, to help achieve GHG emission goals. Consistent recycling rules across the state also will make it easier for residents to recycle more effectively. Manufacturers should be required to have full ownership for the entirety of their product life cycle. HB 2049 creates new expectations, and the City of Spokane supports that. Thank you.
Thanks. Good afternoon, Chair Dolio and members of the committee. My name is Erin Hall with the American Forest and Paper Association. Paper recycling is an environmental success story. We have a strong commitment to sustainability, and our success is driven by a dynamic, market-driven value chain. As a result, we have a very high recycling rate, both nationally and in Washington State, higher than most other commodities. And we also have very robust established end markets for the resale of recovered pulp. Regretfully, we must oppose the bill today because of the following reasons: concern about unintentional disruption of those established end markets for a system that already works. We also have additional concerns about the scope and uncertainty around certain program elements. As mentioned in previous testimony, we're hoping to see harmonization with other West Coast programs in the EPR space that have already been established. Recycling travels over state lines. And so with that said, we would like to see some more harmonization with both California and Oregon programs, including off-ramps for any material that hits certain target rates, language to prevent cross-material subsidization within the bill, as well as various others. Happy to follow up with additional documentation to this committee. At the end of the day, paper recycling works, and we hope to keep it that way.
Thank you, Chair Dolio and the committee, for allowing me to testify today. My name is Michael Gonzalez. I represent Teamsters Joint Council 28. We have about 50,000 members in Washington, Alaska, and Northern Idaho, and thousands of those members work in the recycling and sanitation industry. We're speaking in favor of this bill. This bill, by all accounts, would bring recycling to about 540,000 more homes, recycle about 200,000 more tons of product. And as our members work in this industry, we see this as not only a jobs bill, but a jobs bill that also creates environmentally sound practices. So because of that, we support this bill and would encourage you to vote for it and pass for it. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Brad Boswell. I'm representing the Washington Beverage Association, which is the non-alcoholic beverage industry in Washington State. For several years, WBA has been advocating for an extended producer responsibility system in the state of Washington based on global best practices of being producer-run, built to meet strong environmental outcomes, and provide producers access to recycled material for maximum circularity. Unfortunately, HB 2049 moves further away from those principles by shifting control away from producers who would fund the system and be required to meet targets, removing language for a deposit return system, and adding significant issues outside the scope of EPR that should be dealt with in separate legislation, including labor standards and recycling content standards. We will continue to work with the legislature on an effective EPR system. However, at this point, we do not support House Bill 2049.
Good evening, Chair Dolio and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Giovanni Severino, Youth Campaign Manager at Latino Community Fund, here in support of House Bill 2049. Work with Washingtonians all over the state, but Washingtonians from everywhere are looking for more accessible recycling and better recycling services in all over the areas. I work closely with a large number of Latino youth in Yakima and Central Washington, who are constantly talking about these issues, constantly bringing up the issue of not having enough places to recycle the current material that is being produced and are looking for better materials to be produced to ensure that there's a healthier environment for their communities. They're very frustrated that the current recycling system is very confusing and that the products that are being produced aren't as recyclable as they're being marketed. All that to say is we hope that, or I hope that you all vote to move this bill along and to support it as our youth are watching us. And it's time for us to take these steps. The problem is only becoming bigger. So we must continue to lead the way of improving the materials that we are producing for our consumers. Thank you.